They're certified through the American Red Cross. And we have all the mannequins, whether they be adult mannequins or infants. So we've got a pretty good system set up for training. Automatic electronic defibrillators, if I said that right. Anyways, these are devices that we put on our paratransit buses, because that's more or less the elderly that we transport. So if we have an incident, we can at least, these drivers are trained on how to use that, and they could actually respond. We also have one at the transfer station and one in our offices. And you think about training, our drivers are very professional. I know there's a lot of, Uber has become pretty big, and you see a lot of that, but there's been some question about the capability of the drivers, and I'm not taking away from Uber drivers. I think it's another good service. Anything you can do to actually spur public transportation, I think it's great, and I'm going to be all for it. But I will say that our drivers have gone through specialized training. So you're going to get a professional driver that has gone through, and that's what they do every day. That is their everyday thing that they do. And they get training courses specifically designed for public transportation and working with the elderly, any other kind of scenario that you could think. Plus they're in a substance abuse program, so you can be assured that they're going to be safe drivers, free from drug use or overuse of alcohol. So training center comes in and does training on site for us, makes it really nice. You think about how we're funded. We're funded with a mixture of federal grants, local money. We get 60% of our funding comes from the Federal Grants Administration through grants. And I didn't introduce Lori Carr to you earlier. She's our transit superintendent. Super, does a great job with grant writing. I'm not kidding you, she gives us a lot of money. So many of the amenities that you see around here, our transfer station, our transit offices, any expansions we do, any buses we get, Lori is the actual epicenter of getting that done, because she is amazing with getting us funding, and that is great. And she's actually won some awards for that, so we'll talk about that in a minute. But 25% of our funding comes from county sales tax, and 8% comes through state car rental sales tax funds that for somebody rents a car, a portion of that actually goes to education, and another portion goes to transit, public transit. So it's a good tie and a good benefit. And when you think about fares, only 7% of our fares actually cover or address the cost of public transportation. So it's not a big thing. Some people say, well, when you go up on fares, why can't you put in additional routes? Why can't you cover more service area and more frequency? It's not enough to cover the cost. It's simply a component of the overall budget system. And looking at the overall budget picture, you can see that Fort Smith gets about 25% of the allocation, federal allocation that goes across the state. It's divided up between all the urban areas, and these are small urban areas. When you think about what does it cost to ride a transit system? $1.25 for fixed routes, and we do have incentives that get taken advantage of quite a bit, but this is 50 cents reduced fare. And we also have $2.50 for paratransit demand response service. That's anytime the fixed routes are in operation, the cost for that service is $2.50. Where it used to be $1 for fixed routes and $2 for demand response. That's what we went up on. We're now on par with all the other transit systems in Arkansas. So our fares are equivalent to other systems. One thing we do have that others don't have is this demand response outside the fixed route service. We actually are operating demand response early in the morning before the fixed routes even operate. Most of your agencies, when they shut down the fixed routes, they're done. They don't have any other service. So we're actually operating that, but it's a very costly service. So we did increase the trip cost to $3